It's Friday, which means it's another All Things Advocacy with AARP North Dakota State Director Josh Aspie here. With me as always, Janelle Most. Janelle, my favorite day of the entire year today.
Because it's it's March Madness.
It's March Madness,
March Madness,
and my team plays tonight, so excited about it. And speaking of March Madness, like this week has been March Madness for the Capitol and what's been happening at the Capitol. Where do you want to start? Should we start with the one that passed? Let's start with the one that's gone through both houses and chambers. That's House Bill 1447. Remind folks what that is and what happened.
That's the cryptocurrency kiosk fraud bill, and it did pass in the Senate. That was Tuesday. That's what we were trying to talk about. You have to see the outtake sometime about our conversations before this starts. But it did pass in the Senate on Tuesday with only a couple no votes, but we got a resounding support.
One no vote.
Yeah, we've got a resounding support for making sure that the fraud protections are in place for consumers, and we're hoping the House will concur on the amendments next week. But it sounds like it's in really good shape and could be headed to the governor's desk, hopefully fairly soon.
Hopefully soon. That would be huge. And thank all of you who reached out to your legislators. I know we put out a call to action last week, and I know many of you sent emails, patched through phone calls, all really helpful and really important. Speaking of emails and patched through phone calls, we also had another kind of surprising, it was surprising to me. I know it was a little surprising to you, at least in terms of how quickly it kind of moved through the process. Our insulin cap bill 1114, give folks an update about what happened this week and where that's at.
Yeah, this is the part of the session where you sit for hours in committee waiting for your bill to be talked about. And so it was 2 full days in Senate Human Services, but they did act on it Wednesday afternoon. Gave it a do pass recommendation, and then all of a sudden yesterday morning I was glad I was wearing flats in the Capitol because I went up and down the stairs and back and forth to different committees. But thankfully Senate Appropriations gave it a do pass recommendation too. So the insulin cap bill is on its way to the Senate floor on Monday for a full vote in front of the Senate. So.
Yeah, we'll have more on that. In short, just to give you a sneak peek and maybe spoil it, we want you to reach out to your legislator and tell them to vote yes, your senator, and tell them to vote yes. So let's pivot to next week first, and then we'll talk about the call to action in a second here. What's next week look like?
Next week is a lot of committee work. We're kind of slowing down on the actual hearings. There are actually conference committees being scheduled already. Wow. So what we know is that the legislature is really going to pick up pace a lot in the next couple of weeks, but there's committee work on a lot of the housing bills that we're watching, a lot of the appropriations bills for health and human services. So again, a lot of sitting and listening and waiting for times to talk to legislators about the key pieces that we want to make sure, continue to move along in the process. But you're watching one in particular on Monday.
Yes, on Monday afternoon. So House Bill 1176, this is the property tax relief and reform bill that we have supported the homestead property tax credit and the expansion of the primary residence credit portions of that bill. So update, that also happened this week. Like, holy cow. So give you an update and then talk about next week. That was heard in the Senate Finance and Tax Committee. That must have been Tuesday morning as well. Tuesday morning, and then very quickly, which was a little bit of a surprise to all of us in the room, was quickly given a do pass recommendation and sent over to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Next Tuesday afternoon, the Senate Appropriations Committee will have its hearing on that bill. I suspect there will be more discussion during the Senate Appropriations. There's a pretty big, hefty price tag to that bill. There's some discussions on other pieces of the bill that we're not involved in around caps and some of those things. So expect more, and we'll certainly update you there. But our portions of the bill, having talked to a number of senators, are in really good shape on House Bill 1176 there, which is the property tax bill. So with that, that's kind of the week that was and the week that is coming. And these are going to continue to be fast and furious. As you said, the legislature is really ramping up pace. What do we want folks to do before next week?
Insulin. Yeah. So email your senator, make sure that they know that the House Bill 1114 is a good bill, puts that cap on insulin, not just for PERS, but really expanding that to the private market. We want to make sure people can afford their medicine. And this is a huge piece, and it's going to be a huge win. So don't forget to reach out to your senator this weekend.
Absolutely. And again, if you get a phone call from us asking to patch through to talk to your senator, please do that. It's really helpful. I know I've heard from a couple senators today that they're hearing from you back home. And so please do that. So with that, It is Friday. It is March Madness time, literally at the Capitol. And for those of you who watch college basketball, and for those of you who watch high school basketball, we didn't even talk about that. I know there's some fans of teams that advanced in the brackets in our office that we were just talking about a minute ago. So with all of that, more specifically the legislative stuff, we'll be here every Friday. And this has been another All Things Advocacy with AARP North Dakota.